Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Brothers Take podcast. I am Chris. I am joined by my brothers, Eric
Hello.
and Adam.
Hello.
He's back. He's back. We're all back in the room to talk about more gaming. And this week's episode, we want to catch up with Adam since he's back. We also want to catch up.
Well, catch me up.
And catch Adam up. With
Really?
various gaming topics that we haven't discussed, because in the last couple of weeks we were focused primarily on the Game Awards and making predictions and things like that. Make sure you do check those episodes out and share your own thoughts. See who's going to be buying the pizza, me or Eric. We got a pizza bet going, Adam.
I did see
Me and
the
Eric
post.
we made a lot of predictions, and whoever gets the most right, the other one is going to be buying the pizza. So that's what
I'm
we'll
looking
see.
forward to my wild card.
To be honest, I don't think you were playing to win.
Should choose.
That's my. That's my. I mean, you could have played like real safe, just to make sure.
You should also have each one be associated to a particular topping.
Oh wow! Okay,
So
so like
It's like
however
whoever's
many you
getting it
get
right is like that's the toppings that's the mountain to it. Then by the end of it, you don't even know if you want to win. Really.
Oh right, yeah. Yeah. That sounds fantastic, Adam.
That's what I'm here for.
Really easy to make those suggestions when you're not in on it, huh? So anyway. But yeah, so we're going to be catching up with each other and on various gaming topics that we haven't actually discussed that's been in recent news. We want to hear from you guys too. So if you guys watch this YouTube, jump down in the comments at any point, share your own thoughts. If you enjoyed the discussion, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell, all that good stuff. If you guys listen to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take again to give you your take on everything we bring up in this week's episode. But without further ado, let's catch up. Adam, you were away. You were abroad. How was it?
That was incredible, but you are completely off the grid. So I
Yeah.
have no idea what was going on.
Right. You don't know anything, huh?
Nothing.
You're like Radagast.
I'm like wondering, is there anything that happened that we can actually genuinely surprise you with? Maybe like GTA 6 announced? I don't know. Did you see that? Or
Not announced though. It's just more. They plan to release a trailer.
That's a
announced,
bigger
right?
that's a bigger announce than what we've been getting for the last 10 years.
Yeah, I know,
that's
but I mean, there was an Elder Scrolls 6 trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, so
was
Elder Scrolls 6
10
is
years
announced, That's...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when Cyberpunk 2077 was announced.
Yeah, there was a trailer. It's like
Or like what was that, 2008? 2009 or something?
I suppose we should
I feel-
just hold up and see what this trailer
what
is
the
actually.
trailer
Yeah.
looks like. Yeah, I feel like though Rockstar, like with this one, because they have been working on it for a while. I think everyone knows that. I feel like when the trailer comes out, then it's not that far away. As in,
Oh yeah, no,
within 2 years after the trailer.
Yeah, because I don't think like
pretty
Red Dead.
optimistic.
I don't think
That's
Red Dead.
optimistic?
I
Oh,
think
no
so.
way.
I think so.
I don't think Red Dead 2 was that long from when it got announced.
No.
It wasn't 2 years, but I don't think it was that long. I don't think people were waiting a
Okay.
decade for it.
We know we're getting the trailer for GTA 6 sometime in the next couple of weeks, basically. Eric, when's it coming out? Year, not Jesus. Don't give me the exact date, unless you have that power. But what year is GTA 6 coming out?
Oh, the game. I thought you meant the trailer. It's about to go 2024, man.
No, yeah. What year is the game coming out?
The year the game is coming out is either 2027, 2028.
Wow. All right, Adam.
I wasn't even going to go that far. I think it's slated for 2025, but I won't make the year. It'll come out in 2026.
Oh, I like the way you think. I'm going to say 2025. All right, let's see who has to buy the pizza for that one. Okay. That's GTA
Does each year
6.
equal a topping?
Oh, God. Or multiple toppings, surely. In a year? Come on.
I'm actually a little worried about the next GTA. I don't think it will ever live up to the heights of previous games.
I'm not worried. I'm more interested than I am worried. I think they could pull off something really special. But it depends on what you like. I mean, I don't think you weren't crazy on GTA 5, were you? So
No.
whereas
Or Red Dead 2.
I thought GTA 5 was mind blowing. Like that game is crazy. Like, okay, I have a nostalgia for San Andreas, and I'm always going to prefer that. In the same way as so many people have the same nostalgia for Vice City. But GTA 5 is fucking like on a technical level, it's so
Oh, on a
impressive.
technical level, but like Ground Zero's on a technical level.
Yeah, but then the content, like the heists and stuff, I thought were amazing.
Yeah, it's just that aspect. I think there was an element of like it's still satirical, yeah, but and
Yeah,
especially with the direction of Red Dead 2, I just feel like they're getting a little bit too serious. And it's one of those companies where you're like, oh, come on, you're everything is serious. Come on, you can give us
yeah.
just that.
Well, I wonder though, were they wanting to make Red Dead 2 serious and then keep GTA as being satirical so they have two different identities with their IPs?
I think that's
Possibly,
possible.
but I
Yeah, I
think
think that's
I
possible.
just think in this day and age and the way the company is now, they won't get away with it anymore, and I think they're going to want to market themselves away from what they used to be. That's
I
the part I
think,
fear.
I think if they're clever with the writing, they can get away with it. I think they'll need to do to be a careful balance here, right? I think they'll need to do like a GTA 4 on it. I think you'll have a
Mm.
protagonist who's pretty
Yeah,
sensible, and it's everyone around them who isn't, and they're
I
even
didn't like
like,
four
what
either.
the what? I get that, but so the protagonist is like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah.
And everyone else is total satirical. So I think they could do it,
But I
in a
think
way,
that's
you
the way
know.
it always kind of like I would see CJ as being somewhat level headed in comparison to the world he was in.
Yeah. I mean, he was like, "Oh shit, here we go again. Like
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
ridiculous." You
Um,
know?
Franklin in
100%.
5 for sure. Franklin was
Franklin was
definitely
very level-headed. Yeah.
left out of
That's the
everyone.
thing. So when they did that, though, right, and then they went, so now we can do a character like Trevor, who is just a psychopath. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But because they had a level-headed protagonist as well, they could dump all the crazy shit on one character, but still have a character where it's like, this is kind of you might be able to relate to this guy, but this guy is the old school kind of, if you could play as one of the GTA NPCs,
Yeah.
he's one of the nuts guys. So I don't know, I think they're pretty clever with their writing in terms of,
I think the
I
other
think they could
aspect
strike the
maybe
balance.
towards GTA 5 that I wasn't really mad on is that it was like so recent.
Right, yeah, the modernisms of it.
Yeah, so what I think what's nice about the previous GTAs was that it was almost like a history lesson nearly. It was like, looking back in time and going, Jesus, that was all mad, wasn't it? I'm glad we're not there now.
Yeah. I actually hope, I know the rumors are that it's going to be a male and female protagonist in a sort of Bonnie and Clyde style thing.
Mm.
I hope it's set in the 90s. I know they've done
That'd
it
be
before,
neat.
but because like they've revisited other eras, but I feel like it's going to be modern. But I think it would be cool if they said, right, this is set in the 90s. I think that'd be a nice setting for it. But let us know what you think, guys. Over the last 2 weeks, me and Eric were looking at the Game Awards.
Hmm?
First week, we did our predictions of what we think will just show up at it, which is just totally, it could be anything. And then the next week was we actually went through the nominees and had a guess at what we think will win or whatever. Obviously, we won't be able to go through them all here again, but was there anything? Have you had a look at anything from the Game Awards?
I just saw
the
the
actually Game of the Year nominees. And,
the Game of the Year ones I saw,
Right.
and it made me kind of question the year actually a bit,
right.
because I looked at the
Well-
list and I was like, I don't know, some of it just didn't feel familiar or something. I don't know. It was a bit odd, and I was trying to think like, what's fucking missing here, and where did all these come out of?
Funnily enough, I think everyone feels the same way. I don't think anyone is happy with just all 6. I think everyone is like, no, there's something missing, because that's the kind of year it's been.
There's 2 games in there where I'm like, yeah, okay, that's no doubt.
Only 2?
Yeah, honestly, the other
Shocked.
ones I'm like, yeah, I suppose they
You got to be careful though, because how many of them have you played?
um
None.
You know what I mean?
from the Game of the Year. I'm trying to think what was in there now. 3 maybe.
Okay, between us, we have played at least some of 5 of the 6 games.
Right.
There's only one of them that none of us have played, which is Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
Yeah.
That's the one I've seen the most where people are like, really?
Yeah.
obviously Mario has a huge fan base, and there's a lot of people love Mario, and that game did review very well.
That's not good enough though.
But in the year that's in it, it's like, I mean, I think that's the one that you could swap out with 10 other games, basically, nearly. Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, Final Fantasy 16. Some people would feel strongly that way. Like Jedi Survivor, maybe. There's lots
3.
of games.
Yeah, I forgot about Baldur's Gate actually. No, yeah, there's 3 in there that I think deserve to be in there.
Right. What are the 3 that you're like, yeah, them 100%, and then the rest of them I'm not so sure?
Spider-Man, Resident Evil, and Baldur's Gate.
Interesting, because you're the only one out of us that's played Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
And you're not like,
Tears is fine.
Game of the year.
No, it's fine,
okay.
but I did feel like it's much the same. It's kind of more of an expansion, almost DLC wise, as opposed to like feeling like a brand new experience. It could just be because we're coming up to the end of that generation, but it's just not major enough. I felt like it's a good game. It is a good game, but it just, I think in comparison to the other games that are there, and from what I've seen of likes of Dead Space, I wouldn't necessarily. Maybe
Dead Space is another one that like could have been there. You know, Hi-Fi Rush is another one that could have been there. Like,
yeah,
it is actually, it could be the best year technically for games. Like, it really could be. Like, it's been stacked with Game of the Year contenders, not just like that's a good game, and in various genres. Like, it's been pretty stacked. I haven't had a lull period where it's like I go back to a game to replay it because I've nothing else to play in like the whole year. I've had like the next game to jump to, which has been just nuts.
Yeah, I kind of just felt like,
put that in there.
yeah, there's just been like there's been a ton of shit coming out through the year that when I saw those announcements, I can't even recall necessarily what I feel is missing, but it just didn't feel right when I saw the lineup. There was just like. I don't know. It just didn't feel familiar. And maybe because they just kind of came out, though, some of them.
Funny enough, so like Super Mario Bros. Wonder is one of the ones that came up a lot where people were like, should that really be there? The other one where people were kind of, like there was 2 were questioned more than any of the others. Yeah. Right? And the other one was Resident Evil 4.
Oh, what? Really? That's not what...
Yeah.
In my circles, not so much.
Yeah, so in like all the other like gaming podcasts and stuff that I've been listening to, a lot of them are going, but that's a remake. Like, should that be here? And I was like,
that's
what?
A fucking weird.
Are you crazy? Did you play that game?
That's a weird question. Yeah, that's a really weird question. Like,
yeah,
should that be there?
I don't think what they're saying is like. I think they're saying, like, if you could have 10 nominees, yeah, it should be there. I think what they're saying is, should it be there over a brand new experience that they feel is as good or stronger? But that's just the way these things work out.
That regard though, like that, then I think Tears of the Kingdom shouldn't be there then if that's the case, because I don't think that's a new enough experience. There's new shit in it. I know if anyone's listening, they might think I'm bashing on the game, but let's face it, it is Breath of the Wild with a building mechanics in it. It's not that much different.
Right.
It's still fun, but I felt Resident Evil 4
Blasphemy.
was a much more exciting, a much more new feeling experience than.
I think an awful lot of people who are puzzled by Ori 4 Remake haven't played Ori 4 Remake. I think they've assumed they know that game. I think they've assumed they know.
There could be a bit of fatigue with it, maybe. Like, cause
they're like, I've played that game. They're like, I've played that game on everything. You know, they're like, I don't need to play it again. But it's like, no, but it is different. It's different. We promised. You gotta play it again.
Yeah, and it's a pretty solid game experience.
I already know, based on your reaction, the other one that you think is the one that's puzzling, right? is Alan Wake 2.
Yep.
Which is tied with Baldur's Gate 3 as the game with the most amount of nominees.
That is
across the categories.
Mental.
So, that is to say that Alan Wake 2 is definitely a critic highlight of the year.
Yeah.
I just finished it this week. I know, Eric, you had finished it previously. I would love to do a spoiler cast with you, Eric.
Mm-hmm.
We should do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good. It's very good. It's not. I don't think it's as amazing as people are saying, though. I think there is flaws, mainly in like the gameplay. But I think as an experience, it's very good. It's definitely the best thing Remedy have ever made. And I hope it doesn't take them as long to make the next one. I'll buy the next one day one.
Like, the reason I was puzzled with that was I have absolutely no interest in Alan Wake.
I know, yeah.
I've had no interest in the first one. I played a little bit of it, wasn't my thing. Played a little bit of Control, wasn't my thing. It's not for me. That's fair enough. But what I heard was that the story is really good to it, but it's a broken game. And I just think on that level, like basically the bits that I've seen has been people having very bad experiences with the game really glitching on a serious level, to the point of like deleting their save file to some extent. Like,
that's
really
so
bad.
weird because I had none.
Right.
Eric, did you have any?
No.
And anyone I've seen hasn't had any.
Perhaps
So,
it was
I remember you saying that. And I was like,
post-release patch,
weird to
maybe.
me. Maybe I have had no bugs. I would say that it's a very, from my experience, it was a very polished game. And there's loads of things where I was like, this should be glitching. Like, fuck. Like, it's trying to do a lot. And it's doing things instantly in front of your eyes. That I'm like, this game shouldn't be working. This is fucking ridiculous. So I was very impressed. I think presentation is the strongest thing about the game. You know, it's just that unfortunately the gameplay is kind of, you've played it all before. It's very Resi 2 maybe,
Right.
in subsections. You know, but miles better than the original Alan Wake.
Sure.
And
Well, you'd kind of hope so.
oh, fucking leaps and bounds better than the original Alan Wake.
I think that's why it just kind of confuses me that it's in there, because from across the board, what I've heard was the best thing about it is its story.
Sure.
I just don't think a game deserves to be in the Game of the Year spot just because it's good storytelling.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Because then it's like, there's tons of games with amazing story, but like, I mean, there's so much that we kind of judge games on to be the game of the year. You know, it's like it's supposed like, what's your involvement? Do you like, how does it bring you into it? The sound design. There's so much involved in it.
Yeah.
But that was really the only thing I heard about with it, and I think that's why I was like really questioning it.
Okay, well, those people are leaving out the sound design and the graphics.
They're leaving and the direction.
Yeah, no, they're leaving out a lot there. For what makes it actually really damn good. The sound design is
incredible
to me, actually better than the sound design to Dead Space.
Whoa.
In terms of creating the atmosphere.
Whoa! Yeah,
in terms of creating the atmosphere.
I hear you. Like, we were doing the whole, you know, we were doing the predictions thing, and like I picked Dead Space for sound design, but it is between Dead Space and Alan Wake 2. 100%. Like, the game is terrifying, you know, and it achieves it through sound.
It's in there then for in that category for sure then.
Oh yeah, it's in there. Yeah. It's in there for game direction. Best narrative, it's in there for that.
Yeah,
it has art
an direction. You know,
has an actor as well for best actor.
I think like
that's one.
If I'm going through
I don't agree with.
But if I'm going through it, like, and I see that, I'm like, oh, doesn't. I'm like, I can see it. You know, from the clips I've seen and stuff like that, I'm like, I totally fucking see it. It's just
yeah.
It's just that like,
yeah, that's fair.
Best game of the year. It's like, really? No, like, was it?
What do you think should be there? Out of curiosity.
I was trying to. Yeah, it's weird because I'm like take it back on what actually came out during the year. It feels like there's been so much, and maybe nothing actually deserves that spot. But I am actually genuinely shocked that I'm not seeing any Hogwarts at all in this competition anywhere. Nowhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge omission. And I know if you hear people say, well, it's not really that great of a game. Look, I actually think it is actually really I think it has kind of done the impossible in that sense. The amount that you can do in it, How many games that are like that, where it's like its first attempt? We know the second one is going to be like building on all your issues with it. Like it's
and this is a studio that don't have like the biggest track record ever or anything like that.
no,
Like,
no.
they're not really known for much before this. Yeah.
As I'm not a Harry Potter fan. I was blown away by that game.
Yeah, I thought it should have been. I did point that out. I was pretty annoyed with the best RPG category because that's where I felt it should be. Again, it wouldn't win. Of course it wouldn't win. Baldur's Gate 3 is going to win that. But I felt it deserved to be nominated there. Liza P was there, and Final Fantasy 16 were there. And I'm like, Hogwarts, and no disrespect to either of those games. Like, you might even prefer those games, and they're great games. Hogwarts Legacy is a better RPG, though, than those games. It's clear to me, though, that because of it's done by jury, right? I don't actually think it's a thing of like, oh, do not nominate it. I think it's a thing of not enough of them played it in the first place. Do you know back when they all decided not to play it? I think that's the problem. I think not enough played it to put it forward. And that's probably why it made no nominations.
It's just a bit odd because it's like, some of the discourse around it, some people didn't like it, and I think that's totally fair, but it just seems a bit strange to be the highest streamed game in launch history isn't in the Game Awards.
Yeah.
And it's in none of the categories, right?
No, it's in none.
It's none of them. That is just what?
And it's obviously it is probably the most popular game this year.
Yeah, it just came out on the Switch, didn't it? So, it's I think that to me was one of the biggest surprises. Is just not seeing that anywhere.
Yeah, 100%.
Doesn't have to be game of the year, but maybe adventure game. I don't know. Just...
Yeah.
It should have been there for RPG for sure, because it is an incredible RPG game. It really embodies taking on the role of a Hogwarts student.
100%. But the game that we know is going to win Best RPG, Eric, Baldur's Gate 3.
Do we though? Could be Liza P, man. You never know.
It's definitely going to be Baldur's Gate 3.
I haven't played. I've seen it. Obviously, I haven't played it, but I'd even be really mad if that doesn't get Game of the Year.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh yeah.
I
should play.
I think everyone thinks it's going to. So will you be
just
up
come
in
to my
arms
house sometime and just play the start, just the start alone?
Will you be up in arms then if Alan Wake 2 wins?
Yeah, I actually would, because that would indicate, to me at least, that would indicate that the thing that people play video games for is not gaming.
We were going through. Hold on now. Like okay,
I'm entering full Scorsese mode, right? It's not cinema.
You fucking are. Like the first Last of Us, right?
Yeah.
The gameplay is fine. But that's a game of the year because
I think the game is very good.
200 years.
I think the gameplay is very good.
But the story is why it's really good.
Graphics as well.
Beyond just
I think
the gameplay is fine.
The gameplay is really good.
It's fine. If you put that gameplay in another game with a shitter story, aka Days Gone, it's not it's not going to draw you in, man.
In its time period, when it came out, that was pretty stellar gameplay, I think. Yep.
I'm throwing shade, okay?
Why you throwing shade at Days Gone? People actually wanted Days Gone 2 to be released.
I know they do. I know.
Yeah. Well, don't throw shade at Days Gone, man. You didn't even play that.
Fucking mouth.
You haven't even played it, man.
Baldur's Gate 3, you've been playing it.
I thought I was going to clear it this week, and then no, they throw some more shit at me. I'm like, stop throwing shit at me. I'm trying to clear this game.
Maybe that's the only reason it won't win, actually.
No one's finished it.
No one's finished it.
But do you want it to end?
A little bit, because I'm kind of getting sick of playing as my particular character that I kind of want to play as someone else.
Okay.
Why don't you start again?
But
yeah, do
your over 70 hours and I'm at the end.
do your Oblivion on it.
Now, in my defense, Oblivion was, to me, before someone kills me, to me, it was a shite game to play, and the most interesting part was making the character and doing the start.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because then it just got to that point was, oh, you want some soldiers? Go do that thing like 12 times and we give you 2 soldiers. There's our entire army. Fuck. Go play Skyrim. Epic Nordic music. Slaying dragons. Become the leader of the Dark Brotherhood.
I think there's a few years between them, isn't there? So it's just maybe, just a few.
1 or 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, but is Baldur's Gate 3
Potato.
deserving a Game of the Year as the only one who's played a substantial amount of it out of us?
To me, yeah. Yeah, it's got it. Like it's got. You want to create a character? It's got it. You want to be simping over some weird vampire boy? It's got it. You know, you want to be sneaking around? You can sneak. You want some horror elements? It's got it. Fantasy? It's got it. Like honestly, this game made me start to go, maybe I should just play like actual Dungeons and Dragons and stop like making up my own shit, because I was just like started to more and more get invested into the lore and the gods that they have and the different races and the history and stuff that they have. And like this game is a brilliant. This and the movie are a great gateway into the world of Dungeons and Dragons, I find. And I just learned today it actually follows from one of the campaign books that
really?
That D&D sells. Yeah.
Nice.
I just hope it wins, just so it kind of shows the other studios like this is what happens if you take your time. Like there's so much in this. I think on even just on a level of principle, Baldur's Gate should win from my perspective.
Right, but you know as well, it's cool as well if they win, because technically, it's an indie game.
What?
Right, because they're
Larian Studios are an independent studio.
Yeah, I don't think we would use that term for that, but I get what you're saying. Yes.
You get what I mean?
Yeah,
though?
I
mean, they're not backed by the big, you know what I mean?
But it'd be hard
and
to call
they're kind
them
of
indie. But
I know that. And they're kind of underdog, they're underdogs, right? So for them to win would be just amazing, absolutely incredible, and I think they've put in the work; they deserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not coming from it. I mean, if I was going to be biased, I'd obviously pick one of the games that I've spent time playing, like Spider-Man or something. But at some point, you have to stop. Like this reminds me of 2020, with a slight difference. But in 2020, like me and Adam were very much of, my favorite game this year was Final Fantasy VII Remake. But Ghost of Tsushima deserves to win. You know, sometimes you see the game where you're like, that is actually the game of the year.
And you
like,
know what? It didn't.
and in that case, no, it didn't. This time, I think it will, though.
I was a bit in arms about that. I was a bit like, come on.
Nah, we got the player's choice. That's all that matters.
What did win that year?
Last of Us Part 2, isn't it?
Last of Us Part 2, right. And that game is now being remastered. Yeah. So, what do you guys think of that? The remaster is coming out on January 19th of 2024.
That's a load of bullshit, and we should just keep talking about Baldur's Gate 3, to be honest.
No, I've moved on.
I'm not... That, like, I mean, when I saw the remaster of the first one, which is technically a remake, I wouldn't call it a remaster, it's a remake.
The first one was a remake. They didn't even call it a remaster.
I wasn't too bothered by that. We've discussed that before. Didn't really care. This one, this is like, you could easily patch the previous one for a PS5 version if you wanted to. This is just such a money grab.
It obviously is. It doesn't bother me, to be honest.
This one doesn't bother you, but the last one did.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want a remake, but remasters, that's totally fine.
No, do you know why? The only way to play The Last of Us Part 1, the remake, when it came out, was to pay the $70 price. And it was like, for the exact same game, basically.
Right?
Except it looks prettier. This one, if you have the PS4 version, it's only a tenner to upgrade it, and there is additional content. So I'm like, right, so for a tenner, basically it's DLC then for me. Tenner DLC to make the game, whatever, a PS5 game with all the PS5 features or whatever, but there's extra features too. If it was, you can only get it if you paid the $70 or whatever, then I would be like, bullshit. I think they learned their lesson from the other one though.
Well, maybe, but
So,
I
to
just
me,
yeah,
like
it's just
that's okay.
I'm annoyed because of it just meant we weren't getting the factions mode, which was promised. It doesn't look like it's ever going to happen. And factions was actually
That's
good
in
crack.
big trouble. The factions mode is in big trouble.
Yeah, it was really good crack. It was just that on the PS3 back in the day, playing on network wasn't the best thing. But like with the systems that they have in place now, I think they could have. And Uncharted 4 online was such good fun. I think the factions would have been. It would have somewhat saved Last of Us Part 2 in my eyes, but
yeah, I get you.
I have no interest in this.
Eric, would you pay the tenner and get and jump back into Last of Us Part 2, or do you have any interest?
Now that I know it's a tenner, if there's ever a lull and I'm thinking to myself, it's a tenner, why not? I'll put it on. But yeah, well, like it's just extra game mode, isn't it? There's like extra 1 or 2 game modes, some extra cosmetics and stuff.
Yeah, so there's a roguelike survivor mode.
Yeah.
Where you can play as multiple characters you can choose or whatever. Like Lev, I think, is playable. And then you just survive waves of enemies, right? So that's a new mode.
Nice.
Then there's something called Lost Levels, which are levels that didn't make it into the original game.
Okay.
And they come with director commentary. Don't know what that'll be. Hopefully more time with Joel. Then there's a guitar free play mode for anyone who doesn't want to play through hours just to get to the bit where you can play the guitar. You can just select it from the menu or whatever. And then other than that, I think it's just the kind of PS5 enhancements in terms of graphics and like haptic feedback and stuff. So that's what's included.
Yeah, that's fine for €10, I suppose.
Yeah, like I'm okay with it. I
see.
If it
I
was
originally
just
thought it was a whole new game. Here you go. You have to buy it. I did think it was that originally.
So you can, right? So
yes.
For someone who doesn't have the game at all, yes, they can buy it that way. But for those who already have it, but surely now a lot of people are just going to buy a cheaper version of the PS4 copy and upgrade it this way, which is still fine. That's okay. Like,
so do you know what's PlayStation's deal then with the whole like upgrading to the new system version? Because didn't they say after Horizon they were going to stop that shit, but they did for a bit, but now it looks like for this one they're not stopping. Like, it just seems so inconsistent about how you get the PS5 upgrade.
Sony are so inconsistent this generation.
Yeah,
just in general. Yeah, I don't know why. I suppose I think they just react to.
Maybe it's Naughty Dog calling the shots on this one.
Could be. I think it's just being reactionary though, and I think this thing is a reaction to how people responded to the first game remake, which probably had a lot more work into it actually, because it was being built from the ground up.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah,
but then probably didn't receive the. It probably didn't sell as well as they would have liked, because they were like, "Oh yeah, everyone has this game." Like, do you know what I mean? It was like, however, if that had been a tenner to upgrade, I think people would have paid it.
Yeah, as long as you had the PS4 version.
Yes. Yeah. If you have the PS4 remaster.
Yeah.
Turn it into a PS5 version of the game. Yeah. I do think that this game, the remastered one of Last of Us Part 2, the artwork's pretty cool. I think they'd have been better off calling it Director's Cut though. That it just has these little bits and pieces. I think remastered probably rubs people the wrong way when they're like, because it's like, remastered usually to me is a game that's unplayable on the system that I have. Like the Crisis Core remaster was a way of bringing that game back, or like Metal Gear Solid getting a remaster is like, because otherwise I have to boot up an old system to play. You know what I mean? Yeah. So a PS4 game that you can play on PS5 anyway, getting a game called Remastered, probably rubs people the wrong way, I'd say. Director's Cut with a little you pay for an upgrade would probably go down a bit better, I'd say.
Because I wonder, graphically, is there actually much of a difference, or is it more of a frame rate? Maybe some ray tracing involved.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, kind of hard to top the graphics of, one thing that I would say is Last of Us Part 2 looks fucking incredible.
Yeah, and there's not much this generation really that kind of, I haven't really been wowed yet by anything.
I was wowed by Ragnarok.
Yeah, but I
Gorgeous. But
with Ragnarok, I kind of felt like it was like a more polished PS4 game. Like it still had a lot of the modeling that you would have on the PS4, but it's just that greater draw distance, smoother shit. But it's like you almost have to look for it nearly, because even with Spider-Man 2, I mean, I'm not really noticing a huge. Maybe if I went in there and turned off a couple of settings or whatever, but I don't have that initial kind of like, this is clearly a next generation game.
do you not think so from just the now? Maybe not. All right, character models, no, right?
No,
But like the draw distance and the speed,
I think because
that feels next gen. Like that's fucking insane.
I'm not noticing, but maybe just because from when I played Miles Morales, maybe.
Oh sure, maybe yeah.
That it's kind of, and obviously I had the PS5 update for the first Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Has kind of bridged the gap a little bit to a point where it doesn't feel like a next gen game.
Right, eased you to that point. Yeah. I just remember being blown away by there's a very early shot of Miles getting thrown halfway across the city.
Oh yeah.
And then it going right back into gameplay, and that did make me go, "Wow, that's an expensive shot right there." It's like, this is crazy. But let us know, guys, what you think of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Have you any interest in it? Would it make a jump back into it? Would you like to see something different? I think it would have been cool if they did a restructuring of the story.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Like the way they did with the Beyond Two Souls.
What way was that then?
So Beyond Two Souls, biggest criticism for that was that they players felt that the way it ran, it was kind of non-chronological. Okay. It would like hop back in time and stuff like that. And then they released they released a collection, I think, and then as part of that collection, they had this new version of Beyond Two Souls, and you could choose to play it in the original timeline way, or you could go chronological, and it would play it in order. And a lot of people who played that version said it was actually made it a much more enjoyable experience.
Okay, yeah, I actually do think if they restructured The Last of Us Part 2, where you play day 1 as Ellie, day 1 as Abby, day 2 as Ellie, day 2 as Abby, I think not only would that make it more fun to play, I actually think it would be a better narrative. Like, I think it would hit harder when they finally meet. Like, one thing that worked really well in Alan Wake 2 was if now you have a choice of doing it or not, but I think the story benefits if you jump between the two protagonists.
Mm-hmm.
So that when the story starts to converge or whatever, without saying too much, it just feels right. Whereas if you went through a whole chunk as just one and then went through a whole chunk as just the other, I just can't see that working as well.
Yeah, for me, the structured Last of Us Part 2 suffered from the exact same problem I had with like Devil May Cry 2 or Devil May Cry 4.
Yeah.
Where you're like,
big,
I
long chunks.
Basically just have to play this game again as someone else, essentially. That's kind of how it felt. I know it's not that, but it's just how it felt.
Yeah, I get you. What do you think, Eric? Do you think Last of Us Part 2 would have benefited from restructuring?
I think we talked about the kind of structure of the story and certain choices that they did in a previous episode, and I think we were all in agreement that
we sure did.
I think like we didn't have the same problems with it that everyone else seemed to have had at the time.
No,
we had a different problem that no one else seemed to have.
Yeah, which was, I think, the structure of the story and certain story choices. That they did, rather than people focused on one issue that they had with the story. We didn't even have a problem with that. That was like the least of our issue. Our issue was like nearly everything else. I think if they had the option for the restructure, like what you said, I think it would be more enticing again to get that, to pay that €10, because now it's also,
well, it feels like a new experience.
Yeah,
I wonder would it play?
Yeah.
Would it play better than that way if it swapped?
Yeah, for purely a comparative study, I would play it again that way, because I'd just be like curious: will it land better this way, or would it hit harder? And plus, there were certain bits with Lev, for example, that were like the highlights of the game for me. But you have to go through so much before you even meet Lev. Whereas if it was structured that way, you'd be like, okay, it's not going to take too long to get to Lev, and then I might get back to a bit with Joel, and then I might get, I think that'd be a really cool way to experience it. But that's obviously not what's happening.
And also seeing, like, because there's moments, obviously, that it's like, oh, that was clearly, when you're playing in Abby's section, it's like, oh, that the events right now currently is because Ellie's out there. But, like, if you're kind of seeing that happening, like, you've just done it, and then you're doing this side of it, I think it just...
Yes.
Because the thing is with gaming is that, you could come away for it for, like, weeks. And
Yes.
if you come back, if you're after forgetting what you've just done, like, that doesn't land at all.
100%. 100%. That was one thing I was thinking about when playing Alan Wake 2, actually, was I was like, you have to play this game in short succession. I feel like if you went away from this for a while and came back, because the game is not good at holding your hand at all. And I'd just be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? I didn't know what I had to do, and I was playing it that night, So I was imagine, like, stepping away for, like, weeks and then coming back to it and being like, I got nothing.
Yeah, I think they need to add another button onto those controllers. That's the previously on button.
Yes, or someone was saying that as well about one of their favorite things about Final Fantasy 16 this year was the active time lore. They're like, that should be a feature in all games, so that if you've been away from it for a while, you just push a button and it catches you up on absolutely everything again. So you go, oh yeah. They're like, that should be brought into all games. Optional, but it should be there. But anyway, let us know what you think, guys, about Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Another thing I wanted to talk about was, because we haven't discussed it yet, right? There's a Legend of Zelda movie that has been officially announced, that's being worked on. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's to be live action.
Mm-hmm.
Starring Tom Holland.
I hope not. Although Machine Gun Kelly really wants to play Link, apparently. So it could always get worse than Tom Holland. That's what you need to remember.
Maybe it's the only one where, like, if Tom Holland was in it, it wouldn't feel weird to me.
Yeah, or Timothy Chalamet, maybe. But what do you guys think of that, first of all? Like, have you any excitement for a Legend of Zelda movie? And would you want it to be live action? Like, is that the right move, or do you think it should be animated? Go on, Eric.
Always excited for Legend of Zelda movie, because I think the world needs more fantasy and needs more sort of inspiration in the world.
I thought you were about to say the world needs more Legend
Legend
of
of
Zelda.
Zelda.
It's like we seem to get that all the time, but go on.
Not live action though.
Okay.
Yeah, live action is a huge mistake.
Right. Yeah,
That's
I think
just-
I don't think it would capture the magic
yeah.
of Legend of Zelda. Like the games have always had this kind of artistic, well, not always, but like a few of them have had that artistic, cartoony style design.
Yeah.
So it's so weird to think, yes, let's make this. This is clearly live action. It's like, no, like Uncharted and The Last of Us, Halo, Gears of War, they make sense to be live action because of the hardcore graphics trying to make it realistic.
Oh, it's like doing a live action Mario.
Yeah, it'd be ridiculous.
Well,
who would ever do that?
Right. So Nintendo already have like an example of they once did Mario live action, right? It looks awful, like it's just so like it's a cosplay, right? And then this year they had the animated Mario movie, and it did incredibly well. Right? It did so well. I think it's one of the highest grossing animated movies of all time. Ridiculous. And it is good. I went to see it. It's a fun movie. And you're looking at it, you're going, yeah, it looks right. That looks like Mario. The animation, that animation style suited that movie.
Mm-hmm.
With Zelda, I think all the Nintendo stuff really is like, this is animate. User the animated platform. Like, and
yeah.
with Zelda, I don't know if they're thinking, oh, this could be like the next Lord of the Rings. But I'm like, no. Like, I'm wondering, what would you compare it to series-wise to go, Zelda should be live action? Because to me, it's like, it definitely should be animated. There are two fan-made Zelda animated projects out there at the moment. They're both stylistically very different, but both are a better avenue, right?
Yeah.
One of them was Ember Labs' Terrible Fate short, the Majora's Mask one.
Yeah.
Okay? If you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. It's fucking amazing. The animation is incredible. That's more like a dark Pixar kind of movie.
Hmm.
That works really well. It looks like Zelda. Like it's beautiful. And these are the guys then that went on to do Kena Bridge of Spirits. Play that game. It's amazing. And it's very much a Zelda game. The other one then is very recently a guy called Rowan Link, I think he's called. He in Unreal Engine he built like a Studio Ghibli version. Ghibli? How do you pronounce that?
Yes.
I'll bring Pagan on. She'll know.
We'll say Ghibli. You know what I mean. He did a Studio Ghibli kind of take on Ocarina of Time to mark the 25th anniversary of Ocarina of Time, which was very recent.
Yeah.
And that also looked right. Like it looked brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm like, any of those styles, that'll do. What are you doing? Why would you do this live action? To me, that's crazy.
Yeah, they should have hired like Ember Labs to do it.
Do you think so? Is that the
Yeah.
style you'd go for?
Yes, I think because if they're doing live action, they're kind of branching out and wanting to get it also into the Western audience. I think maybe that animation would appeal to Western audience more than a Studio Ghibli animation style, maybe.
I see what you're saying.
And it would be way more expensive to do animation in that style. It just takes too much time,
really?
and studios just generally that's why we don't see that type of animation anymore.
Because it's all hand drawn, right?
Yeah, it takes too long, it's too expensive, and they can quickly smash out films, putting a few people up against green screen.
But then this guy, he built it all in Unreal Engine. He didn't draw it.
No, yeah, I mean, there's certainly ways to get around it.
And it looked, I mean, he's only doing it on his own. Obviously, if he had a team behind him, it could be even better. Like, I thought it was very impressive looking.
Oh, well, like either way, one of those two would be. I just kind of said Ember Labs because
Yeah.
I would love to do either a series
HBO.
or if they are doing a film, like do a film series,
Yeah.
but each one is different. You know, it's not a continuation. It's like a self-contained thing, and each one has a different art style. So you might have one that would be that kind of Pixar style. Another one might be stop-go, almost Tim Burton animation.
Oh, wow.
Like, because each of the games obviously all have their own unique artistic style that backs the theme of the particular game, I think that would just... You know, and then there is an opportunity if you wanted to. You could do live action if you really, really want to, just to kind of... So they're all their own self-contained thing.
Yeah, so I feel like if it's going to be live action, there's a really high possibility, and this happens a lot with adaptations where they go for the most recent because that seems to be the most prominent thing. Like, I feel like they might be adapting Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah. If they're going to... Yeah, it's just one to do.
But I feel like if you're going to do a movie of Zelda for the first time, it really should be Ocarina of Time. Like, I think it should be, like, back at the roots of the series. If the series goes on for a while, maybe you get to Breath of the Wild, but I don't think you should start there.
Yeah, but
How far back do you want to start?
Like, this is as someone who hasn't played fuck all Zelda games, right? So I'm probably the wrong guy to make that choice anyway. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think Ocarina is definitely the kind of the point where they decided, oh, we can actually do... Well, I think it was after that point they decided we can actually do something that's a little bit more continuation. I don't think they really actually started to key in the actual how everything fits in until they got the Skyward Sword. But which is technically the first one if you want to go that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think I would go Ocarina of Time. I think that's the one to do. It's the one that really establishes the most interesting Ganon as well, with a good with his own clear motivation. A bigger world to explore, really interesting characters. Yeah, that would be the one to do. And you could
What do you think,
go off into
Eric?
Majora's Mask then.
yeah, well, I mean, definitely just do one of the earlier ones. Like, I mean, even if they had done fucking Wind Waker, or like anything that's kind of Majora's Mask, Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker, and anything before that, Link's Awakening. Fuck
I'd be
it.
pretty
Like,
pissed off if that's the only version of Wind Waker they're going to give me.
True, but at least.
Wind Waker is coming with the Switch 2 in the first year. That's what's happening.
But like, yeah,
Please.
they're going to do Breath of the Wild, or they're going to do fucking Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, you'd start with Breath of the Wild there, right? Like
You say
I'm only
that.
thinking because like there's going to be an Amazon show of God of War, right? And they're going to start with the Norse stuff because that's what's become the prominent name. And now, I actually in that case, I don't mind.
I do.
I actually don't mind. So long as they do flashbacks and bring in the Greek stuff. Like don't pretend the Greek stuff didn't happen. Like really make that part of the story.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah.
do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I'm okay with them starting with the broken Kratos. You know, I'm okay
Yep.
with that. But with Zelda, I don't think you should start with Breath of the Wild. Like I think, what if this doesn't go well? If you get one crack at this, you gotta do like the one that is like one of the
Also,
most
like,
iconic games of all time. Like
that's
Ocarina of
also
Time.
probably just too much to be like money wise with the just simple with the art design of Breath of the Wild. How much you have there with the contrast of
Especially live
technology.
action.
Yeah, technology as well as the yeah, you have the robots and you have the swords and then you have the big fucking floating city and like covered in calamity crap and you got the big giant robots that Link has to take down. That's just way too much
Although, like,
money and special effects on that part when you could go for something where everything fits in nicely with one of the other ones where everything
yeah,
artistically
you
works.
say too much money, right? But then it is Nintendo.
Oh yeah, they're rolling the deep.
They have so much money.
I don't think that's gonna be
they
a
have-
problem.
What?
I think the real problem is like that the story is just not actually that interesting. Like Breath of the Wild story is actually not an interesting. Like you don't play it for the story. The exploring it and arsing around in the game, that's what makes it fun. Like the actual gameplay of it. But I don't think it's going to translate well into like, oh, that should be something that we just sit down and experience. Twilight Princess, on the other hand, I think probably has the best story in a Legend of Zelda. Not that fun to play, sure, but the story is actually really, really fucking good. That you could maybe do live action, maybe.
Yeah,
it's not as interesting, but
oh, do you know what though? Oh fuck! If they did Twilight Princess, and they went for that, do you know, like there was those like AI generated, like take a movie and make it look like an 80s dark fantasy thing.
Yeah, like never-ending story style.
Yes. What if they did it live action, but they made it look like an 80s movie, and it was like, yeah, the never-ending story.
Deep down,
that's
not
would
going to
not
happen,
work.
and they're going to fuck this up. But that would be amazing.
If they did, isn't that the one case where you'd be okay with a live action Zelda?
I think if they did that, people would not be happy with that. I don't think that would do well at all.
People are
I think it could, because like that's the only way. I think, you know, the way like post Marvel, there was like this trying to make the costumes look like it directly from the comic book. And let's face it, they're cheesy as fuck, right? I mean, I think the Naughties had it right, trying to make it like kind of gritty and realistic. But there's just something about people just wanting the actual costume with the bright colors. But that style and Link's tunic, that goes so well together.
Yeah.
You try that now. This is not gonna work.
I wonder if they're going to make him left-handed. If they're going to pay attention to that.
That would be the thing. That would be the thing that would break the internet now, right? He's actually fucking right-handed. People be like, no, fucking bullshit. And they're like, no, it's the Wii version. It's fine.
To me, the
you never know. It might, like, you know, someone got pissed off at the Barbie movie because they didn't pay attention to the Barbie lore, you know?
That's true. To me, the very decision or consideration to make Zelda live action when there are no humans at all.
You
pretty
can
much.
You can get
they're
away
humanoid, right?
Yeah. They're Hylians, basically.
I just
think
you're going to be animating most of the characters.
No, Hylians you can get away with.
No, I know that, but
ears.
they're only one. Like, there's so many creatures.
Yeah.
In Zelda, so many. There's way more creatures than that.
I mean,
you're pretty much going to be animating most of the cast.
Considering as
Maybe.
well,
You could do prosthetics for most of them.
Hey, maybe.
Gerudos.
Oh my god, what if they do puppets? What if they do fucking Dark Crystal on it?
Yeah,
Okay, that
that'd
actually
be fucking.
that would be good,
that'd be
but
class.
very expensive. But it would be good. It will be good.
Yeah, they'll never do that. Come on.
No, they'll
No.
never do that. But I mean, like Link never fucking talks to any Hylians. Well, he never talks to anyone. But
Not Dark Crystal, no. Muppets Treasure Island style, like live actors around puppets.
Okay, you've gone too far.
Have you seen the
pushed
talking
this
owl
beyond.
in Ocarina of Time? Like, I'm picturing the puppet now. Definitely.
You're on. You are onto something, but I don't like it. Guys, let us know yourselves. I mean, there is a Legend of Zelda movie confirmed. It is happening, and they have said it's going to be live action. Let us know what you think of this, and what style of movie do you hope it is? Is there anyone that you think could play Link? Like, who would be your pick?
It's
Let us
Chris
know what your
Pratt for
thoughts.
sure.
Chris Pratt,
Idris
obviously.
Elba.
Yeah. I feel like it would be cool if Link and Zelda are both kind of unknowns, but Ganon could be like a well-known.
That's gonna be Dave Bautista or some shit.
No, he's gonna be busy in Gears of War. What are you talking about?
Well, you can't do multiple projects.
I suppose he can. I take it back. Speaking of adaptation, though,
Yeah.
there's also a Bioshock movie in the works
Cool.
for Netflix. Right?
Very
Nice.
cool.
And the director helming the project is Gore Verbinski. Now, to anyone who doesn't know
Pretty
who that is,
Neat.
I know.
Maybe.
To anyone who doesn't know who that is, that's the guy who directed The Ring and Pirates of the Caribbean, which I feel like if you put the two of those together, you get Rapture.
Yeah, you got Bioshock. Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly, he could be perfect.
Wow,
So-
what two? Like you can't like that. You can obviously get further in tone when it's all that, but like wow, those are two very different movies. Fair play to him. Good job, Gore.
I mean, they are. They both have ghost stories. You know what I mean? They're both,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean I know we're in one, but
Hey!
but for two like Pirates of the Caribbean suitable. It's a family movie. Everyone can watch it. Woo! The Ring. No one watches it because it's too scary.
Yeah, I'm terrified of that movie, and I've never seen it. It's just every poster of it is the scariest thing ever. And then anytime I play a game where they're clearly referencing The Ring, which is just, girl with white dress and long black hair, it's just like, no, stop it. I don't want to do this. Let me out of here.
That is actually
It's originally
the voice
Japanese, isn't it?
actor.
I think so.
Yeah.
The voice actor Travis Willingham, that's his like greatest fear is girl with long black hair and white dress.
That should be everyone's greatest fear.
They're
If that's not your
terrifying.
greatest fear. Like, they're the scariest thing
I
ever.
feel sorry for any woman who's like if they're going to get married and wear the traditional white dress if they have black hair. Because
I don't if they dangle their hair over their face like that. Like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's and it's wet. Like, don't get married like that. That's terrifying.
Yeah, dry your hair.
Unless you're going for that kind of, do what you want
Yeah,
to
if
be.
you're going for like a Halloween. You know what? Yeah, do what you want.
Yeah.
Don't mind us. Well, what do you guys think of a Bioshock movie? We have nothing else except that
I think it's
happening. And
I'm shocked it took this long, actually.
shocked. Are you
Yeah.
Bioshocked?
That's an incredible story. We don't
Yeah,
get
that's a
shit
really good
like that
story.
anymore. Like, and that's actually a really fucking good game, too.
What do you mean we don't
Now,
get shit
are they
like that?
going
What
to
are
be
you
doing
talking
the
Don't
first
get shit
one?
like that anymore.
Or are we doing Getting
about?
Infinite?
Did you not play?
I know they're
Dope
gonna
Dope
get they're,
Literature
they're
Club?
gonna do the first
Come
one
on.
for sure.
We get shit like that.
Rapture is so you can't really do Infinite without doing the first one.
Yeah, they'll definitely do Rapture first. For that one, they will.
Yeah.
I actually still think I know Bioshock Infinite was very popular. I still think though, unlike God of War and unlike Zelda, in terms of modern thinking, I still think that when someone says Bioshock, people think Big Daddy.
They think Rapture for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
think that's-
it makes such an appearance in Infinite anyway.
And then I think when you get a director like that, he's going to be far more interested in that setting anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just.
And then it's coming to Netflix.
No,
It's gonna be-
imagine
could be a
now
good
they
film.
said that's going to be animated. You would be a bit like, wait, Legend of Zelda's live action and Bioshock's animated? What the fuck's
no,
going on
so-
here?
Yeah, Bioshock is one that definitely needs to be live action. 100%. So, do you hope it's like a full-on like horror movie, or that it just toes the line, or because it's hard to, like the game is kind of, it's not quite a horror movie, but it's definitely got horror elements.
Yeah, it does have horror.
I would like it to be like a watchable horror movie, you know, like
But even
a
Infinite was
quiet-
horror.
Okay, are you gonna what?
Even Bioshock Infinite was horror. Like it is. It is. They're
Oh,
they're horror
sorry.
games.
I thought you said, but even if it was horror,
No, Infinite was horror.
I know. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you now.
Yeah.
So and then I was waiting. Like, yeah. What's the rest of your point? And like nothing happened. I was like, are you okay? Oh yeah. Infinite was
it
yeah,
was pretty horror.
horror elements because the gameplay is very action heavy.
Yeah.
It's more the themes and stuff. And
Yeah.
the environments are scary.
Both are action heavy. But I suppose Infinite is.
Rapture is definitely scarier.
Oh yeah.
I think
Scary
on
place.
it tends to it's a different type of scary. It's more almost zombie level, almost like the way people behave in it.
Yeah, and
and-
like scary facility, and you're trapped, and
Yeah,
you know,
Infinite's more like I don't know,
Zealot,
like
religious sort of.
You know
cultish.
the movie Midsummer, like that kind of
Yeah.
horror.
Yeah.
like it's everything's bright, and that's scary.
Yeah, everything's awesome. That kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. That scares me
Boink,
more.
yeah.
To be honest, sometimes that scares me more.
But then
You
when
know?
you get deeper into it, it becomes actual horror. Like
No, I know.
Yeah.
But I always, it's like, you play a Resident Evil game, and all the environments are really scary. But it's when you open a door, and the room you're in is pristine and super clean. You're like, well, this is gonna be the worst.
yeah,
You just know. You're like, well, this is way too bright. So fuck, this is gonna be the worst part of the game. You know?
Yeah.
That's how that goes.
But yeah, I think if they total line like a quiet place or something where it's like
Oh yeah.
you're on edge, you are scared, but anyone can still enjoy the movie.
Okay.
yeah. It is. It's
I hear ya.
at the end of the day, it's quite an intellectual game, so it's gotta still keep you to give you that reveal. Maybe like Shutter Island, that kind of level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like the most interesting thing of that game is the story and the location. That's one where in the movie, if the movie isn't action heavy, that's fine. Because actually, the gameplay was probably the worst part of Bioshock.
What?
And I don't mean, well, because everything else was so good. If you had to put one thing at the bottom,
I would put the graphics.
oh, fair. Sorry. Okay.
That game
fair.
blew my mind.
Okay. I thought, yeah, I thought it could have had other gameplay and it would still be as good.
Maybe.
The
Yeah.
story I thought was just.
Yeah, the story.
So as a
phenomenal.
movie, what I mean is if it's not like a big shoot 'em up movie,
it just turns into Doom.
that's fine. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't want that.
It's like
I don't
just
want that.
they
you
give you
guys-
the first person camera view going around.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
shooting
shit your
everything.
bet. That moment was fantastic in Doom. They even had
Yeah,
Pinky in it.
so
It's
cool.
It
class,
was
man.
absolutely hilarious. If you haven't seen that, lads, in terms of while we're talking adaptations, if you guys haven't seen the Doom movie, gotta watch it. It's so funny.
That's the pinnacle of
before
Carl
I-
Urban's career.
Oh God, what is the pinnacle of Carl Urban's career?
Probably the
Boys.
boys.
Yeah, it's got to be right.
Yeah.
He's
He's-
excellent in it.
Yeah.
He'd have been a good Joel as well, actually.
Yeah, it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been. Lots of actors could play Joel, though.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Pedro's good, but
They're just good too. Yeah.
anyone could have.
Yeah, Tom Holland.
There's lots of people. Shut the fuck up.
All
All right,
Yeah.
before we finish up,
You could have been
this
Ellie.
is something that we've talked about before. Tom Holland would be a great Ellie. Just before we finish up, anything else that you feel would make a great adaptation movie or show? We've definitely talked about it before, but maybe there's something new now or something else that you're thinking about that would work really well, that we haven't brought up before.
It is hard.
Because they're doing more and
To-
more. There's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
adaptations every year now.
Yeah, I mean, like
Obviously.
Arcane season 2 is coming out November next year. You know what I mean? So I know that's like we had the first season, but that's an adaptation of video game to continue with that. Castlevania Nocturne was out this year. So yeah, we're definitely getting more and more video game adaptations. I think studios are wanting to get into that, especially from the success of the Mario movie and the Last of Us show.
Mhm.
And the fact that movies movie studios with new IPs aren't doing that well.
Yeah, unfortunately, but yeah,
Unfortunately, they're not, even though they could be really good, but people just want to gravitate towards something that they already know.
yeah.
But it is hard to not think of this when I'm staring at all the minis that like are in front of me and behind me. But like we've definitely said Warhammer before.
Oh no, but I meant of a video game. But I suppose
There's
Warhammer.
video
loads
games of
video
Warhammer.
games. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. Yeah. I get you.
Or another, actually, they made video games of this the Star Wars thing. I think that'd be cool as a movie now. That looks like it's got
one of them
potential.
Star Wars yokes.
Yeah, one of them Star Wars jokes.
The one with Spock in it.
Jesus Christ. All right, guys. the brothers' take has been fun, but I guess the podcast is officially over.
Yeah, Star Wars with Spock where he travels around in the blue box.
You can cancel us at www.
I seen a great. Where was I seeing that? It was like something to do with Doctor
Skyrim.
Who, right? You know, he was talking about
Yeah.
Doctor Who. His TARDIS,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
well, when Doctor Who, when was that first out? Was that like the 60s,
70s?
70s?
60s, 70s, something
Something,
like that. Yeah,
something like that. It's a very long running
Like,
show.
Yeah.
So the TARDIS is like a police box,
Yeah.
and most streets actually had them. So him getting into a TARDIS was like, oh yeah, like that's fine. You know, it's like you can hide in that and can go somewhere, and it doesn't feel weird. But like the latest ones, if someone saw one of them on the street, you'd be like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
that's
well,
fucking weird.
they do explain it in the show, actually, what ended up happening there. Where
I fucking love that you know that.
well, I've watched it. I have watched it. So
Fantastic.
Excellent.
pretty much his it's a camouflage machine for the TARDIS that it makes it look like that.
Yeah,
And it got damaged at some point, and he's just not ours fixing it, which is why it still looks like that.
that's fair enough.
Oh,
But
right,
there's also it emits a sort of signal to people's brains that they see it, but they don't quite pay attention to it.
That's an unnecessary level of.
It is lazy. It's absolutely lazy, right? Like, but
I mean, they would have been better off just updating it.
Yeah, I suppose they kind of have to keep it
With
today.
the times, you know?
yeah. It's an
Is it-
iconic.
It's too iconic, I guess.
Yeah.
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
So that's the reasoning behind why no one really ever goes, the fuck is with the blue box?
Well, the more you know. I learned a lot about Doctor Who tonight.
There you go.
Adam, any games you'd love to see adapted before we finish
I'd like to actually see. I didn't get to see the Tetris movie, right? And I heard it wasn't great, but I think that's a great angle to do a movie about a video game. Is actually surrounding the creation of it, and I'm sure there's some like really historic games that really had maybe rough development or some really interesting story before it became super famous. That they could do that type of, not documentary, but you know, the making of a game kind of biopic. I think there could be an opportunity there. Or they could go down like the Barbie route, where it's like very self-aware style character in a game series.
Well, the Sims would probably be a good one for that.
Maybe, yeah. So there's always like, you know, there's the adaptation side of it, which is very miss. I don't think we've had a hit.
Some people would say we've had a hit.
Mortal Kombat.
Well, the Mario movie was really good.
Okay.
You have to like Mario, obviously, but and then I think most people would say The Last of Us was a hit.
Pokemon was pretty good.
Detective Pikachu was right crack.
That was one where you're like, I can't see this ever working in live action, and they did it.
You know, the first ever Tomb Raider with Angelina Jolie.
Okay,
Class.
yeah, I'll give it to you. That was gold.
The Paul W.S. Anderson Mortal Kombat, making that song, which is not in any of the games, the most famous thing about those games.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking brilliant. You know,
I'd love to know why he
there's
decided.
a few hits. You know, there's a few hits.
Why he decided to put that kunai instead of it actually being a kunai attached to a fucking rope on Scorpion. He decided no, it's going to be a weird vine monster thing that comes out of his hand.
There's so many questions.
Yeah, I have many questions for him.
For that director.
But either way, those were $500 sunglasses.
But and they're all hits. You know what I mean? So you know, you got to be careful. Like, you know, there's a lot more misses for sure, but you know, there's a few hits here.
Yeah, but there's probably other angles that they could tackle the game to movie. Like, I think movies and games could probably coexist rather than trying to like with the Uncharted movie, the way that's done. It's like, why does that even exist? Really, it doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't work alongside. It doesn't complement the games, and it doesn't adapt the games. So what are you doing?
Yeah, maybe just adapt the game. You know,
or
that's one.
Or compliment. I don't mind there being an original Uncharted movie, but it's like, you know, take into account that the others happened then, or it's leading to, or you know.
I suppose for me, a lot of the appeal of an adaptation is, I think some of the best storytelling is in video games, and I feel there's a lot of people who will just never play a video game that are missing out on the best stories being told. So I get excited about an adaptation because I'm like, I hope they translate the story well so that people get that, right? So one thing I am thankful with like The Last of Us, right, which is largely one of the most faithful video game adaptations we've ever seen, is that I hope then the success of it makes others go, maybe it was successful because it was of the game, you know, and then they might, you know, like Joel and Ellie were in it. Like, I thought that was really good. You know, like I thought that was nice. Clickers existed in it. You know what I mean? Like, it actually had characters and locations that were in the game. I was like, that's, you know, a nice change of pace. You know, you watch the Resident Evil movies and it's hard pushed, you know? So.
Okay, it doesn't know you're going there.
What?
You just know it's like, yeah, he's referring to every Resident Evil character in those Paul W.S. Anderson movies.
Yeah, largely, yeah.
Both all of them are actually in the games.
So yeah, look, I'm half joking, but I do hope that adaptations get, you know, closer to the source material. A more recent one that I think would be a fun adaptation, though, is I actually think the Alan Wake universe as a TV show would work really well. Only because the shit that's going on in that game is fucking nuts, and I'd love to see that, like a lost TV show where every time the episode ends, you go, "What the fuck was that about?" And we spend a week talking about it, and we're never happy, and we never get the answers, and when it all ends in a church, we're disappointed. But it was a good ride.
Penny's boat.
It was not Penny's boat. That's what I hope. But guys, what would you like to see adapted? Is there any video games that you think would make a great movie or a great show, and how would you like to see it adapted? Yes, Eric?
Baldur's Gate 3. TV show.
Okay, Baldur's Gate 3. Would you agree with that? Let us know, guys. And in terms of everything else we discussed, Legend of Zelda, should that be Adam? Jesus, are you all right? Like,
that's a whole conversation in itself. Let's go.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Are you happy with Legend of Zelda being live action? Should it be animated? Everything else that we brought up in this week's episode, please let us know your thoughts. If you watch this YouTube, jump down in the comments, share your thoughts, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, ring the notification bell for all future content. To those of you listening to us on audio platforms, you can also touch base on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twixter at The Brothers Take, again, to give you your take on everything we brought up in this week's episode. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll be back to talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.